Good day, everyone. So I am Claire Indina Sirineo, and this report will be the continuation of Janice's report, still section 8, which is deciding on materials or selection and preparation of materials. So I will be continuing the theoretical model for organizing the design of instructional materials. And this figure is shown in Janice's report. So I will be doing the second one or discussing the second one, which is the input since Janessa already discussed about the opener. Janessa already discussed the opener or the first part of this figure. So now let's proceed to the next part of the figure, which is the input. So simply, input is the discussion of the given topic found in the motivation questions in the opener. So in the opener, Janissa discussed the motivating question. So it discussed about allergy. So in the book, the input is a reading passage about allergy. So here, a reading passage as the input. So allergy. The term allergy comes from the Greek allius, or which means other, and ergon, which means work. The derivation implies an unusual or inappropriate reaction to a stimulus. Allergy is a disorder of the immune system. It is immunity gone wrong. So it has two types, the delayed hypersensitivity, which means a type of allergic reaction that develops or takes about 48 hours, and the immediate hypersensitivity, which means that another kind of allergic reaction that develops more explosively within seconds or minutes after an encounter with an antigen. So to put it in a simple term, input is just the discussion of the given topic. So in the input of our materials, we can find here the discussion or the topic being discussed. So after defining the main topic, we have next the comprehension check. Comprehension check is about the reading passage. These are a set of activities that checks if the students really understand the passage given in the input. So here, we have here an example. So in activity 1, understanding the passage. Directions, answer the following questions about the selection. So we have questions here. The first one is, the main idea of the reading passage states that. Then the immune system consists of cells that. Next is pathogenic bacteria are. Number 4 is proper recognition of the threat posed by an antigen is crucial because. Number 5 is what word in paragraph 1 means the same as etymology. Give the etymology of allergy. Next is macrophages are large specialized cells, whereas lymphokines are complex substances secreted by the cells. What influence do lymphokines have on macrophages? We have here also the activity 2, which is the word stress, and the activity 3, which is listening for specific information. So simply here in the comprehension check, so as a future educator, after we discuss or after the discussion, we want to assess if our students do understood or have understood our discussion. So we would know that through comprehension check. So we will give them activities that will check or to let us see if they really understand the discussion. When we ask them if do you understand, they will just say yes. Of course, they will say yes. But how can we assure that they really understand? So we will do a comprehension check or give an activity to see if they really understood the discussion given in our input. So that's how we decide our materials. So after comprehension check, we have vocabulary. In this part, it includes activities that will let the learners provide definition to something from the word itself, vocabulary, vocabs. So this is simply applying the right words in formulating sentences or paragraphs. Did they use the right vocabulary? this will check if the comprehension above is achieved. So in this part, in the vocabulary, this will help us if the comprehension check we have administered on the next part of the input is achieved. So in here, a vocabulary builder is a part of the unit. So in our activity 1, we have here using appropriate medical terms to indicate paragraph sense. In our activity 2, we have matching unfamiliar terms with their meanings. The third one is giving the meaning of some common prefixes. Activity 4, using appropriate medical terms to indicate paragraph sense. And in our activity 5, building words through suffixes. So as we can observe through the given activities, in our 5 activities, it is all about, though they have different types or ways in administering the activity, still it is centered on giving meaning to something. They really emphasized the vocabulary here, like building words through suffixes. So we will let the students here analyze vocabularies or provide meanings, and let them understand what this specific vocabulary means. For example, in our activity 2, we have matching unfamiliar terms with their meanings. So we will give vocabulary to the students and we will let them identify its meaning to see if they really understand or understood the term given. But let's not forget that the term given here is still related to the input. Next, we have language practice for our second to the last. It simply includes activities that is linked to language learning. As the term suggests, language practice, so it is all about activities about language learning. So we have here activity 1, using contrast words to link sentences. Activity 2, using comparison and contrast to show relationships. And for our activity 3, we have understanding the use of modal auxiliaries. So here, this is very understandable. It lets students practice their language learning, like using contrast word to link sentences. This is to see how good they are or how far they have become in understanding the discussion being given in the input. And using comparison and contrast to show relationships, how they will move or create their sentences in order to see the relationship between two topics given, and understanding the use of modal auxiliaries, how they will properly create their sentence, create their paragraphs, or create a situation or any activity given by applying the right language or the right understanding about language learning. So this is how language practice goes. The teacher will just give activities that is related to language learning in order to let the students or to see if the students have understood the topic. So this is how we create materials or decide on the selection of our preparation of materials. Let's not just consider the vocabulary, the comprehension, let's also consider the language practice, since as an English major, we will be future educators. So this is very important and very vital to our future endeavor. So we have come to the last part, which is the task. Students' output in the form of written composition. In here, it's an activity related to the reading passage given in the input. So before we will read the activity here in the task, so after discussion found in the input, we have the comprehension check, we have the vocabulary check, and we have the language practice. So the last part is the task. This is to see if the student can really apply the comprehension check, the vocabulary check, and the language practice. This is the summary of all the practice we have done. So in here, students output in the form of written composition. So in our activity 1, we have here, write a 4-paragraph composition in one of the following topics. So we have 3 topics here. You should only choose one if where in A, B, and C you're most preferred of. So in our A, we have here living with blank. Specify the type of allergy. So in here, we have in the input, we have there the 2 types of allergy. I have discussed a while ago. We have the delayed hypersensitivity and the immediate hypersensitivity. So you should, if you will choose letter A as the topic of your composition, so you need to consider the types of allergies. In letter B, we have here allergy and its discomforts, hay fever, hives, and etc. The third one is the woes of an asthmatic person. So in here, you should just choose one and write a 4-paragraph composition on the topic you have chosen. So you should only discuss it based on what you have understand, based on your observation, and of course, it is also important that it is based on research so that your point or your argument is strong. So the task is the last part. Overall, this is to see if in the overall discussion was absorbed by the students, if they have the right understanding, there is no misinterpretation, and if the comprehension and the vocabulary and language practice is really applied. So this is the last part in deciding on our materials. So from the first part of the discussion discussed by Janessa, which is opener, up till the last, which is the task discussed by yours truly. So those are the theoretical model for organizing the design of instructional materials. So we have the opener, the input, the comprehension check, the vocabulary, the language practice, and of course the task. So that's it for our report for section 8, deciding on materials, selection, and preparation of materials. And I hope you have learned something that you can use in your future endeavor and as a future language educator. Thank you for listening. Once again, this is Claire Sirineo saying